Come on in, bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF. Hello, welcome to the podcast. My name is Ashley. This is the StoryPod podcast. You are bestie, okay, in spirit, okay, and in truth, all right? Thank you for joining me. I already said that. Today, I am going to be answering a question. Let me see. I'm going to be answering a question from Reddit, but a different type than what I usually do. Usually when I'm answering a question from Reddit, it's a story question specifically, about certain elements of the person's story and things like that, coming up with ideas. But this is kind of more of a general writing thing. And listen, full disclosure, I just finished recording a video. I wanted to record another one. I found this question. I have not thought too deeply about it. And so I'm hoping that maybe this is just going to be a short, quick, to the point video, but your girl likes to talk. I apologize in advance. All right. Your girl likes to talk. Okay. I'm going to try to see if I can make this like a 5 to 7 minute video, but we'll see. Okay. So anyway, here is the question from the subreddit r/writing advice. And the poster is Sealing Pancake. And their question is, how do I extend a scene / make my chapters longer? I've been working on this story for a little over 4 months now. I can't help but feel like I'm rushing everything that I'm writing and that there's not enough time taking up interactions and thoughts that characters are having. It just all feels so hectic and forced together. How can I extend that and make it take its time? I intend for it to be a slow burn romance, and the characters have not met, but the exposition feels rather straightforward. So I'm going to probably just try to give one tip that I think, maybe two, I don't know, we'll see as I go along, but I feel like this would really be something that I would want to sit down with this person in a session, in a coaching session, really look at their work, really talk through where they're getting stuck, as well as looking at their story structure, talking through the ideas where they want to go with the story, to be able to really give specific help. But in a general sense, one of the things that I would look at is, do you have enough conflict happening? What are your story plot points? Do you have a goal? Especially if this is, like the poster doesn't say whether this is a short story or a really long novel or going to be part of a trilogy. So I don't know the length. So I'm going to operate as though it's a general romance novel length type of novel, maybe like 250 pages, thereabouts, maybe a little more, a little less. So do you have enough going on towards the goal? Is the goal requiring enough work? Are you putting enough obstacles in the way? Now that would probably look a little bit different in a romance novel versus a science fiction or a fantasy. They don't, again, say specifically if this is a romance focused novel or if the romance is an aspect of a fantasy, a young adult, sci-fi, whatever the situation, supernatural, type of thing. But giving the characters things to do, goals to work towards, antagonists that are keeping them from getting those goals, letting us see, let me think, giving an example from a story that I've been writing for a long time, which is actually a romance focused, supposed to be a comic, but apparently I don't like to draw anymore, supernatural kind of story, right? The goal of the story, the background goal, of course, is the love, the romance, that is a need that the characters have. I keep wiping my nose, please forgive me. But the characters themselves have goals that they're working towards that are not directly connected to romance. So there are things that need to be worked out. For example, the antagonist there are a couple of antagonists, a supernatural antagonist as well as like a regular antagonist. And the regular antagonist is trying to take power from the main character in a company. We'll just say that without going into detail. The supernatural antagonist is also trying to take power of the other character, but in a different way, basically to have control of that character. So the characters have multiple goals. So the main character is like, okay, trying to establish herself in this company, for example, in this new role that she's in. So there's a lot of things that have to take place for that, right? Then there is the relational situation of seeing her and the other main character who is going to be her romance partner, I guess, seeing how their relationship develops from kind of a slightly antagonistic to grudgingly respectful to friendship and partnership and then to love type of thing. So that in itself is its own story. Then also seeing, okay, now she's developing relationships in this new situation, this totally new situation that she's in, her friendships that are not connected to, that are not romantic, right? But seeing those friendships. And then there are also scenes where we get to see these characters' character, basically their personality, the good points, the negative points of them. What else? What other little things? Let me think for a moment. Then there is, okay, I was like, what else is there? Then there is the supernatural aspect that they have to figure out how to break, basically. So that's another, train of goals and conflicts and things where they're trying to figure out how to handle that aspect. So all of these different things come together to flesh out the story because each of those different paths needs their moments. Now, there are some that are more important. Some of those, when you have a story like this, you have to kind of rank the things in order of importance, right? So for me, the most important thing is more so seeing the relationship develop as opposed to the ins and outs and the daily, whatever of running a company for this character. I'm not as interested in seeing her daily run a company and what could be going on with that as I am in seeing how the relationships develop. Another kind of thing that comes in is there's another character, like her past failed relationship comes back, and that's a small little story arc in and of itself. So I think in order, now here's the practical steps, and I'm not saying that this person hasn't done this, but the practical steps of being able to flesh out these scenes and being able to have enough content basically to choose from is really doing the work, the background work of the character development. What do they want? What is standing in their way? The needs they have, their strengths and weaknesses and all of that kind of stuff. So get your characters really solid and tight. What do they want? All that kind of, get the world together, right? Know what the playground, the sandbox is that they are operating in. Give them goals outside of, just getting in a relationship that they can work towards. Then you want to find conflict. You need to really give them conflicts, skirmishes with the antagonist. The antagonists themselves have goals. So that could be a moment, depending on how you're writing it. You can see moments of the antagonists and what they're planning and doing. And it really depends on the type of story that you're doing and if that's something that you want to see. But in the story that I'm referencing as an example of the one that I'm writing, is there are a couple, there's not a lot, but there are a few moments where we're seeing, scenes of what the antagonists might be doing, what they might be planning, maybe even seeing a little bit of a flashback, throwback to something that happened in their life, why they are that way. And as a side note, the story that I'm referencing, that I'm writing, is kind of like my love letter to K-drama, Korean dramas. Okay. So there are certain things that maybe would happen in that type of storytelling that maybe would not be as well received in like a regular novel. So I don't know how you feel. Maybe this is a divisive trope, but like flashbacks and things like that. I don't know how you feel about that, but that could be a thing, right? So that would be where I would start looking, like, is there enough conflict? In terms of the poster's reference to exposition feeling straightforward, I can't really comment on that because I would need to read what they're writing to see if that's actually a problem or not, because there is something to be said about straightforward writing that is to the point. That can be very refreshing. But if you're just telling us, how they feel, show us, some of the issue might be show rather than tell. Don't just tell me what happened, show me what happened. So that could, in and of itself, that might be the only problem. Maybe you just need to make sure you're showing, put us in the scene. Don't tell us about it after the fact type of thing. That's a general sort of rule of thumb that I stick to. Maybe you will break, rules are meant to be broken, right? Write however you like to write. Generally for me, what I like to do is, I like to make sure that I'm putting the reader in the scene as it's happening, as opposed to telling the reader about it later on. So are you having the scenes play out as we're reading it, right? That in itself can flesh out. And then here's the thing about it. As you build in conflict, as you build in, butting heads with the antagonists, as you build in issues that arise from the weaknesses that your characters have, you then have to now, okay, I gave my character this problem. I created this issue. Now I have to solve the problem. So now that's another, one or two, or I don't know, however many scenes that you have of them now working towards resolving or working through this conflict. And then that, them trying to do that can lead to another conflict, So, that's my thoughts. You know what? I'm going to stop right there because honestly, and in truth, it would be more effective if I was able to sit with this person and be able to kind of look through what they were doing and really have a one-on-one with them. But those are my thoughts. To TLDR, look at your conflict. Are you giving conflict? Do you have enough conflict in your story, enough issues going on that need to be solved? Do you have a strong and compelling goal for the characters to be trying to achieve? Is there a need that they are trying to solve, reach towards, work towards? That's very important because that is going to determine the path of the story, right? Think about other relationships that there can be, that the characters can have. Also, are you... I was like, what was the other one? Are you showing rather than telling? Because even showing can just help expand. Don't overdo it. Don't get purple prosy. That's probably not even the right term for that, but you don't have to be like extra. Don't try to pad it because that in itself becomes a problem. But make sure you're showing rather than telling. Okay, that will help as well. I think I'm going to stop there. You may or may not ever see this video because I don't know if this was kind of scattered, but here we are. Real Rap Raw. Okay. This is how we do it on this channel right now. In any case, or on this podcast. I keep saying channel because I'm recording videos, but you may be listening to this on the audio. And if you are, you a real one. All right. Listen, love you. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you or talk to you next time. My friend, okay?